Today a video popped up in my feed called Why Being Ugly is a Blessing, and this video was made by a man named James Gregory. Now, when I saw the title, it reminded me of another video that was put out a few years ago called Being Ugly, My Experience. The person that made that video described life from his point of view like this.
And I'm feeling really down, like extremely down, and I will tell you why. I feel really alone. And I felt like I was gonna search YouTube for people with the same issue as me, and that is being really unattractive. Right now I'm putting up quite of a show, so if you think that I look pretty good right now, it's because I'm doing my absolute best to show you that I look good. I do not look good. I've never in my entire life had anyone telling me I look good.
Now, to be completely straight up, videos like this, they honestly kind of break my heart because I hate seeing people feel this way. I think at some level, all of us can relate to the feeling of being rejected for something about us that we don't think that we can change. Even when it comes to feeling unattractive, I think that everyone, no matter how attractive they are, they still have insecurities and times when they feel ugly and unattractive as well. So I think at some level, all of us can relate to this kid and those that feel like him. Now, when I first saw this video a while back, I remember thinking at that time about how a Christian would feel if they felt the exact same way that this guy did. And today I came across this video from James, who is a Christian, and this is what he had to say about it.
I'm ugly. Everybody treats me like I'm radioactive. Some people would come in contact with me, some people would want to get to know me, but mostly everybody around me, especially in elementary school, it was almost like being around me was dangerous to their health. But how was that a blessing? It's a blessing because God kind of like showed me like, look, it's all right, man. It's okay. It's okay to what? It's okay to not be accepted by the group. Christ says followers of me will be hated because they first hated me. So it's only natural that they're going to hate you, but you rejoice in that. You find comfort and peace in that. God drew me to these realities at a young age, and it helped who I am today. See, now I got real confidence. Now I have real value because it doesn't come from the external world. That's not the focal point of my validation. My validation comes from God and doing what's right.
This reminds me of the rich resources that Christianity has for coping with all of life's issues. It gives us so many ways to think if and when we do feel ugly. Now, no cap, I honestly don't believe that either of these guys are ugly, but it is good to see a believer who feels ugly to handle that feeling the way that he did. But there is one thing that he didn't mention in his video that I think about when I think about this topic, and that's how Christ looked. The reason I say this is because Jesus, God in human flesh, would have been considered ugly by social standards today. When we read about the famous prophecy about Christ in Isaiah 53, we read, "He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hid their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem." So here we have the person who's at the heart of the Christian faith, God who took on human flesh and came into our world, the greatest man who ever lived, and by human and social standards, he would have been considered to be physically ugly. This goes to show you that if anyone can relate to not being attractive, being abused, being despised, and being rejected, it was Christ himself who suffered those things to a far greater degree than us. So in his video, James is right when he talks about Christ, because as Christians, we have the advantage of getting our value and our self-worth based off of what God says about us and not what other people say about us. When we think about it, if it's really important for us to be attractive to others, a lot of the time, what we're really looking for is to feel that we're desirable and worthy of being accepted and loved. But in Christ, we're more valued than we could ever possibly imagine, and we're accepted and loved not because of what we look like, but because we're his children. He loved and valued us enough to come into our world and die the death that we deserved in our place so that way we could be rightly related to him forever. And he didn't just love us, he loved us with unselfish, untarnished, selfless, perfect love. So when we feel ugly, unattractive, persecuted, rejected, and despised, as Christians, we know that God came down to earth and experienced those things so that way we could know that to him we're beautiful, accepted, cherished, and eternally welcomed. Now, this understanding changes everything, including how we think about marriage. So go ahead and click on this video to see what I mean. But the next time that you find yourself feeling isolated because of how you feel about yourself, what are you going to say?
What do you mean?